Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be covering one of the bosses in the Restless Spirit 2 mode. I believe there's actually 3 different bosses, as I just unlocked this first one today, so once I be able to see all of the rest of them, then I'll continue my videos and showcase these bosses, their mechanics, the teams, the ultimates, how to beat them, some notes and tips and trips on strategy, and how I normally make these videos for you guys. This one is called the Beguiler's Torch, the Seed of War, but if you actually look at it, it's Agorist Samael, and so that's how I'm referring to it today as Samael. So we're just going to briefly go over some of the mechanics here, and then I'm going to go over and talk about some of the teams and why I will be doing some of the teams. As you can see here, I was able to do 8 bars on, basically I did it with 4 different teams, and I just either ran out of time or I wasn't able to get a final good rotation, and then I didn't have enough damage to burst the final health bar. There's some additional context for that, but I'll get into that in a little bit. So Samael, first and foremost, he does magic damage to a random enemy ahead. This Phoenix Flames, this alone doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but I'm not entirely sure where he'll do like a wing swipe with it, but then he also has something that's not on here where he summons a bunch of meteors, and so that skill is actually not on here, so I'm not sure if it's part of this Phoenix Wings, where the swipes with the wings is the first half of it, and then the second half is summoning the meteors. But basically the meteors are what is going to be doing the periodic damage over the course of your match, and so if you are to get killed in the first phase, it's likely going to be that rather than anything else if you follow the mechanics that I'm going to be showcasing you. So this next one, the Solar Atonement, he transforms into a supernova, begins to channel. Upon completion, he will explode. If you do enough damage, basically it's the shield phase, then it won't explode. This does pretty much a map-wide damage burst, so it's unavoidable damage, so you have to be able to meet the DPS check in order to burst it down. If you're first coming on this one, this boss might be a little bit difficult just for the damage text. You need to have a high physical damage dealer, is basically what it says. So they deal magic damage, use magic defense characters, they have magic defense but use physical damage. But my teams that will be using is mostly magic based. The supernova phase only goes into effect in the second phase. In the first phase, he doesn't do this skill, so we'll talk about that a little bit later on. So this one uses an attacked wing to gradually spread fire on the ground, continuously deals magic damage to enemies on the ground. So the damage dealt by this skill, it's an initial burst of damage, and then it has the periodic tick damage for the magic damage. And so this, if you are within that range, it does a lot of damage. So there's a strategy where if you want to stay on the front, you could TP back and forth between the two sides and avoid that, but the other trick is you just TP to behind Samael, and he doesn't rotate, and so it's basically a blind spot in that zone you can't take any damage in. So this is the easy way to cheese this boss. Then the second part of this is very important as well, where the damage dealt to the wings is also considered as damage dealt to Agorist. When a wing is destroyed, fire will not generate on that side. However, it's same thing with Sheila. I didn't specifically talk about it in my video just because I wasn't able to showcase it, because I already was past the point where I was able to showcase it without purposely doing it. But entering into the second phase actually has 2 different types of phases. Like Sheila, if you're unable to defeat her sword, then they'll enter basically a continuous sword phase. So Sheila will just continuously swing her swords, Agorist continuously throw fire. But the damage of the fire with the skill in the second phase is insane. It's pretty much like a 1-shot or a 2-shot, depends on your characters. So you want to basically try to burst down as much of the wings as possible. If you only have 1 alive, that's okay. If both are alive, there's one final trick that you could do to try to burst it down. I'll talk about that more, but just keep this in the back of your head. This other one randomly spawns 4 lava crystals on the battlefield which resonate after a certain period to deal high magic damage. I want to say it's about 5, maybe 6 seconds before it explodes, And then this skill actually is the first skill that Samael does when you start the fight. So as soon as you start the fight, you need to have an area of effect skill that is able to wipe out all 4 of the crystals at the very beginning of the match. And so we'll talk about what I use in order to do that. So the next one is the Suncross Judgment, where he summons the Suncross, and basically he's channeling, calling down a meteor. If you destroy the meteor, then you prevent the damage. And then it has a weird like delay to it, where the health bar on that meteor is like basically a mini shield, and so the further into the final health of Samael, the more health that meteor has, so it could be kind of difficult to destroy in the final health bar. And it says massive damage, and I'll assure you it's almost a one shot, if not a one shot, so it does a lot of damage for it. This one has a different immune effect than some of the other bosses, where again they're always going to be immune to control effects, but this one is specifically attack speed down and energy down, so you're able to do lots of debuffs on it. Alright, here's the guidebook. I tested every single one of these comps. Every single one of these comps was able to do 8 fragments off of the very bat. It took a while to figure it out, the trick that I'm going to be showcasing in the actual video portion of the fight, but just keep in mind that Limine, while this one struggled more on the first phase, it did a whole lot better on the second phase, and so is more consistent on the second phase when it mattered more. Van Helsing and the Octavia comps, these ones did very, very well in the first phase, but entering into the second phase, they struggled a little bit more. These two both did okay in both the first and the second phases, but they just lacked the burst damage in the second phases, and so they kind of struggled. And so while these ones, I was in the 8th, basically 1, 2, and 5, I was in the 8th fragment trying to get into the 9th, finish the 9th fragment off. These two I had just barely gotten into the 8th fragment and then died, so keep that in mind. We have some sub damage dealers. Agris actually did the best out of all of them, while in some of the other ones, these Tybalt and Agris tend to do decently well in these kind of ones where you need to specifically target segments, but because Agris just is able to channel and target a segment, and mine is fairly built, he did fairly well on this. But for you guys, if you don't have him, he's probably not as high built up as some of your other characters, and less copies, and so it's not going to be quite as strong. So I just have them down here right now, so just keep in mind that these 3 are your main subs. Ressa actually did fairly well. The issue with her was that she was able to output a lot of burst damage, and she wasn't able to target the wings quite as easily, and so that made it so similar with Octavia, where you end the first phase super quickly, so you just have a lot of extra time. You can use Seth instead of like an acapella, and then basically what you would do is you would just face tank your way through the extra damage, where you would overshield using Aeona, and then you would rely on Seth to top yourself up and then just slowly chip your way down. So that's one way of doing it, and you just have like a low cost rotation thrown in here to kind of help replace that. So it was just kind of a weird rotation. Again, here's the positions. In all of these, I have Del Carlo as my first one, just because she is able to burst the 4 lava crystals. However, if that's not able to be possible, then you need somebody who has a large, good, targetable AoE. So that's going to be Lumine, Lamia, or an Agris, or even an Agris Eye. None of these other characters that I had were able to burst it down in a single go. All of them. You might be able to do something with like a Darcius in the T80 Cop, might work, but Del Carlo is just the easiest and most consistent for me in all of my tests, so that's why she's mainstaying in all of these teams. Talking about some of the note strategy here. So you need a character that could one-shot the summons at the very beginning of the fight. I used Del, but you might need to use Limine, so that's what I was just talking about. So there's a safe zone directly behind Samael's hitbox where the wing strikes and the flame summons cannot hit you. The fireballs that he summons can still hit you, so keep that in mind. I'll showcase where that is. Focus the wings first, destroying both, or at least one of them, or weaken them both down to like 80-90%. Phase 2 will have 2 different phases to enter into it, and and it starts once you are down to the 3rd health bar, basically. He has 5 or 6 health bars. I didn't double check how many he has, but he has 5.5 million health, which is more than 2 times what Sheila had. So each health bar is fairly chunky, so you have quite a bit of time to work your way through it. Then depending on whether the wings are destroyed or not, the boss will have 2 different phases when he's actually going into the final 2nd phase. So here we have the setup. I have Lamia in front, I have my Limine here, my SE Aona is on my Limine right now just because she has the weakest magic defense. I don't think she actually has an artifact on either, so I could bump her up, make her a little bit stronger. For most people, I'd say it'd probably be like an acapella or like a Limine might be your weakest, and again, you could refer to my other guidebook for additional comps here. This is my starting order here, and then we're going to go ahead and get into the actual mechanics of the fight here. So I've talked about most of it, and so we're just going to go in and just start pinging away. So I'm actually going to save this, and I'm just going to wait until these 4 meteor lava shards are summoned, and then I'm going to go ahead and get this targeting. So as you can see here, there's multiple different eyes. You have one for the left wing, one for the right wing, and it's kind of weird because it's as if the boss is facing you. So left wing is going to be on your right side and right wing is going to be on your left side, so just keep that in mind. So from here, I'm just going to target all 4 of the lava shards as well as the boss. Usually they're offset, so they're always going to spawn here, here, or here. They aren't going to spawn on the back half. It's always going to be in this front 1/3 or a quarter, whatever you want to say. So I'm going to go ahead and cast this here, destroy them. And then from there, I'm just going to wait a smidgen until he finishes his swing. Then I'm just going to start making my way over towards the boss. When you're doing this, you want to make sure that you're selecting your back 2 characters when you're trying to go as far as possible, else you won't pool your characters. The other thing is acapella is a channel character, so whenever you're doing TPs, you want to make sure that you're pooling acapella with you and not leaving her behind when she's channeling. So I'm just going to go ahead and cast towards right here. And go ahead and just hold this as I explain some other things. So when Samael is doing his swings, he's going to rotate from the right and swing, and then he's going to rotate from the left and swing, and then he'll do a fire pattern on one side, then he'll do a fire pattern on the other side, and then he'll cast some fireballs. Something like that rotation. It depends on if a wing is destroyed or not. It might change the rotation. The other thing is when Samael is doing a 3rd or a 5th swing, Prometheus Purgatory, he'll do a little stomp animation here, and then he'll do a heavy swing with the right side first. On the left side, he doesn't do that quite as obviously, and it's usually after the right side does the swing. So for that, I usually head up and I try to just focus the right side first, but maybe if I tested a little bit more, it might be easier to try to focus the left side first, then move over to the right side, because you have a lot more wiggle room in targeting on the right side. So anyways, I'm just going to go ahead and get Lamia, my acapella going here for buffs, and then I'm just going to wait until he swings, and then you see right here, he's doing his swing, so I'm just going to try to target as much as possible. It's going to stop here, and then no matter where I do it, if he's doing the swing here and he's doing the swing back, it's not likely to hit while it's basically going to and then from. Where you can hit it is basically when it's moving into the reset position. So right here, I would be able to hit it. And this one is going to move, it's kind of weird, it's like back here and not off to the side, and so it's outside of the map, so it's kind of difficult to target. But this one is going to be outside on the back side of the wing right there. So I'm just going to wait, and then I'm just going to try to target the left one as much as I can. And then from here, I'm just going to TP my way into the back. So basically, you could see his hitbox right here. So as long as you're past where his hind heels are, so right across this line right here, he can't hit you with his flame summons, and he can't hit you with his wing strikes. He can still hit you with his fireballs. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull all of my characters back here. I'm going to try to do it as close to this back wing as possible, because that's my target. Alright, so I've moved back, and then I'm just going to wait for him to do his big swing, and then once he does the reset, then I'm just going to move and target it right back. You can kind of see I'm aiming back here. And then I'm just going to do the same thing. He's swinging with the right, so I'm going to try to target the left, and then I'm just going to repeat this. So I will usually wait until I have 6 energy. I will TP again just to get my shield going. I'll get Akka going, and then I'll just wait, and then I will see that's the big swing right there. So on this big swing is your best chance to hit it. You can see it's right next to you. So I'll go ahead and do that, and it'll do a big damage burst on it. And then I'll just wait for the swing. I'll go ahead and get another one going. And then I'm just going to basically repeat that until I could go there. So the point is basically I'm purposely targeting the space in the air, just so if I miss, I'm not hitting him, and it's just the auto attacks hitting him down. The only downside to this strategy is that you do burn your time because you're purposely trying to only hit the wings in order to break their wings. If you're unable to do this, then you just focus the enemy on Samael just on the back here. So you can see here's the fire, and I'm just going to TP myself. I'm just barely out of the range right there, so I should be good. And then I'm just going to wait for this big swing right here, and then I'm just going to target it. Alright, and then that's almost broken. So we're so close to breaking it. So we're just going to keep repeating this pattern. I'm just going to target and break this last wing. Alright, so one wing is broken. I'm still not into the third one, so I'm still good. So I'm going to get Akka channeling here, and then I'm just going to TP and move to the other side. So you can see where his fire is, so I'm just going to stay out of the fire basically. Wait, he's going to do one swing. And I'm just going to wait for him to do the other swing. And then on the reset is basically when I'm going to target the eye, or the left side wing. Alright. Here comes the big swing. Alright. Okay. Just gonna wait. And again, just gonna keep myself topped up here. You can see my Akka didn't get pulled in. There's the big swing, so this will be my big hit right here. Alright, so now I'm in the third phase. So right here, I mistimed it, so I killed the enemy before going in. So you'll see this should be able to just one-shot me, but I'm just going to go ahead and shield and see if I can burst it down. Nah, I'm going to die here. We'll see. Alright, yep, so that's a one-shot right there. Basically because I messed up on the wing. But if you're able to enter into that phase, I'll see if I could just skip ahead and then cut that into the video. Alright, so from here, I'll go ahead and showcase some of this. So I've entered into the final phase, and then in the middle he brings both of the wings in, and so if you have something that could target both of them, so you could use a Limine ult, you could use a Lamia ult, you could use a Delcarla ult, you try to hit them if you weaken both of the wings, and that should be enough to break both of the wings. He still has one more wing up, so I'm just going to TP myself closer and then try to burst down that final wing real quick. Else he's going to do this massive damage area swing right here. Alright, so there I broke the final wing, so now I'm just going to start conserving energy. You can see the damage is starting to tick off. So we're just going to cast this, get my Lamia ult on here. Ah, I failed again. But alright, this should be able to showcase. So basically, once you're in this form, he's just gonna alternate between, so basically he's going to do the 4 meteor shards, and then every time you destroy a health bar, then he's gonna do that summon meteor phase again, and then from there all you're gonna do is just rotate. You're gonna do Starry-Eyed Aeona, you're gonna do either Delcarlo or Acapella, whichever one is up, and then you're just gonna hold, and then you're gonna just do a Limine ult. And so you're gonna Limine ult the 4 shards as well as the Samael, and then you're just going to repeat. So you're going to do Starry-Eyed Aeona ult, Doll, and then Acapella, whichever was the other one, and then if you need to repeat one of them or the other, then you can do whichever was the other one for your half moon. That's just so when you're waiting, you still have the Eliminate ult ready for the next summon phase, whether that's the 4 shards or that's going to be the meteor. Typically you want to try to save the Eliminate for the meteor just because it gets a lot more damage, and you already got the buff on her for killing the first wave. So once you've done that, in the final phase, I wasn't able to showcase it here today, but the final phase Samael will turn into a giant meteor, and you just need to have saved up enough energy where you could burst it down. It has a lot of health in it, so you might just not be able to clear it. That's totally fine. But if you are able to clear it, usually it'll be like 2 or 3 ults that are 2 or 3 times that you're going to need to clear that final stage shield bar in order to clear this 9th fragment. So that's kind of how the explanation on it goes. As you could see here, Del Carlo and Lamia did the bulk of the damage. I think it's kind of offset now where I just took the gear that I got from doing these and I put them on them, and so that's why I was able to kill it a lot faster. When you're first doing it, it'll be a little bit easier, but then you just have to see and play what works for your account. So hopefully that kind of explains the mechanics. I'm sorry it was a little lopsided. Maybe I'll do like a follow-up, just a full clear on what a full clear looks like later once I'm able to do that. Right now I wasn't able to get it showcased to you, but I have to get up and get ready for work in 2 hours, so I just wanted to quickly get this video out for you guys so you could kind of start looking at it ahead of time. So look forward to seeing you all in the next one. Alrighty, and that's how you beat Seed of War. You kind of see the levels here: Del Carlo, Lamia, Lumine, Acapella, Starry-Eyed.